Hey, good evening. Welcome to the net. I see one person's already here. Looks like it probably is Michael. That's my guess. I'm guessing. I'm sure he's going to post something here momentarily. Um, let me get things. There we go. Already got a thumbs up, man. I'm cooking. Playing with the microphone is not permitted. Somebody's playing with a microphone. Well, good. I'm glad to see it's working. And it's almost 8 o'clock. Almost. Yep. Unfortunately, everything is working. Just looking around to make sure I've got everything I need, which I don't. There we go. Pencil, pen, paper, microphone. Is a frequency in use. Is a frequency in use. Very good. If you have an emergency of any kind, if there's any emergency or priority traffic, just call 911 first. If you can't get them or you're unable to call them, we'll be happy to do it for you. Well, like I said, if you're wanting to move bodies or take you to the airport, those are the two things we don't do. What else can I tell you? Oh, yeah, you can see the live. I'm going to say that first. You can see the YouTube live feed at my call. Just look up in the YouTube text box, the search box, K4PEW, or you could put in the word brain trusts, BRAINTRUSTS. It's a plural word, one word, brain trusts. And that should bring up the brain trusts channel and it will show the live thing in case anybody's interested. I'm wearing my Salute to National Parks shirt today, in case anybody's interested. Not that it really matters for the sake of this net. Let's see. The net may be broken at any time for emergency traffic. Information on that. You can see us on YouTube, of course, which I just mentioned, which is under Brain Trusts or K4PEW. Or you can look us up on the Yahoo groups, which is MJ_SS, Mike Juliet _Sierra. Or not last. The next thing is you can see us on our website, 146415.net, 146415.net, or you can get me on my email, k4pew@arrl.net. Of course, you can always send an email through the webpage. Anyway, we normally meet at 8 p.m. every Wednesday and Saturday night, and we do it on 146.415. That's 146.415 FM Simplex, in case you were off frequency, which seems unlikely, since we're all professionals here, professional amateurs. We've been doing this now for, what I just figured out, 4 years in October, November, December, January, February, in 5 months. 4 years and 5 months, which works out to 400 and something nets, which isn't too shabby. So anyway, the purpose of the net is to support and train ham radio operators to have fun and be prepared in the event of an emergency. We invite everyone to use the net to announce amateur radio events and activities and training and support of the local community, including hams. Does anybody have any announcements? Well, then I've got my share here. They got some ham fests coming up. We got the Tullahoma Ham Fest, which is on March the 9th. It's just a week or so. We also got another one this Saturday, which is at, believe it's at Cave City Ham Fest, and that's March the 2nd. Yeah, March the 2nd at the Cave City Convention Center, and that is this Saturday, I believe. Yes, it's Saturday. Today's Wednesday, and so it's 3 days away at Cave City. And in case anybody's interested, you can look that one up on the web. I won't give you all the crazy details. You know where Cave City is. It's north of here, someplace in Kentucky. And then, of course, we have the Tullahoma Hamfest on the 9th, which is the following Saturday. I'll let you look that one up too. It's the MTARS, M-T-A-R-S, Middle Tennessee Amateur Radio Society. And then on the 23rd, you get the Ides of March Hamfest. It's in Union City, Tennessee. You can look that up on the web. And then, of course, there's the Tennessee Convention, which is in Sevier County, and that's on March the 30th, and it's in Sevierville, of all places. I believe that's where Tech used to be, or maybe they still are and they're hiding out. But anyway, on the 30th is Sevierville, Tennessee Convention, and then the Ides of March on the 23rd, and then the MTARS on the 9th, and then we got going backwards here, and then we got the third is the second is Cave City. Any questions about those announcements? All right, then we'll just move on to today is Wednesday, so tomorrow is Thursday, and we got the Wilson County Amateur Radio Club Net at 8 p.m. Thursday night. It's 8 p.m. tomorrow. It's a good net to have, a good net to participate in. It's an Aries information net. It's 147.105, a plus offset, and a PL of 156.7. And of course, we have our regular net as always on Saturday. And then because it's such a short thing here, we've got another, not this Saturday, but the following Saturday to coincide with that Tullahoma Hamfest is our breakfast at Barbecuties, which will be on the 9th, second Tuesday of the month. You have to make sure on the calendar. Anybody have any questions about any of those things? So apparently you guys are all a quick study. Now I got to just figure where I am. There we go. Wasn't quite prepared. But let's see. We can start taking check-ins from, see where I did last time. Last time we gave James #1 priority, but today it's going to be from the north. It's K4 PEW at the Mount Juliet, whatever it is. Simplex Net. Please come down. Anybody north of Mount Juliet, please come in. Hello, Brent. How are you today?
Doing good, Paul. How are you tonight?
High and dry. Beautiful day. I was out bicycling and sweated like crazy. First time in weeks.
Yeah, we made it up to about 71 over here.
Hell, I knew it was warm. I didn't know how. I knew it was in the 60s, but I just knew how warm it was because when I got finished, I was really, really perspiring.
Hey, one thing I was going to bring up, and I probably should have made an announcement. Tuesday night, the Weeman Net, I gave up the frequencies last time we talked. It was kind of late last night, so if people can kind of try to remember that on Tuesday night and maybe check in around, it starts at 8:30 every Tuesday night.
All right, well, let's do this. Send me an email on that, if you would, with those frequencies and offsets, the two repeaters. I've written it down before, but if you'll send me that real quick, not right this minute, and I'll put it out to the group as a regular reminder, on Tuesdays.
Yeah, that would be great, Paul. I really would. Like I said, I've noticed it's been just a tad bit light. The week before, I think our weather conditions were kind of hampering some of the contacts, but last night I was up at Station 4, worked all night up there, and I was able to check right into Lebanon like it was nothing.
Yeah, the other thing you ought to do is notify, I don't have her email handy, but Kathy, who is the section communications person, and she I don't know if she already has that on her list or not of nets.
Yeah, I was going to wait till our next meeting and then talk to Marty and them about it and see what they want to do, but we've got to get those two repeaters kind of active.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt at all. I mean, it's I was talking about somebody about that yesterday or today, I forget which, and talking about a digital mode, and I said, well, if I was big into digital modes, of which I am not at the moment, if I was, I would do the same thing I did here. I'd start a net and scream at everybody to start talking to me.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad you're doing good. I'm glad you got the stink blown off you today, and I will be talking to you soon.
Yeah, very good, Brent. Of course, that's Brent, Kilo Echo 4 Romeo Victor Quebec. He's up in the north of Mount Juliet, North Lebanon Road, up in the northwest part of the county. But a good signal from Brent. Who else we got north?
KB9RKK.
All right, I got KB9RKK to somebody else, but hang on there. How you doing, Frank?
Doing good tonight, Paul. Can hear, yeah, we got to get more people on there. I wasn't able to make that yesterday because I was running an errand, but he's definitely right. So.
Yeah, well, that's the challenge in every net. I don't care whose it is that people need reminders, and I do send reminders. I didn't send one for tonight. I was kind of got wrapped up with something here, but normally I send out reminders, and I haven't had anybody complain about them yet.
Oh no, I like them. I actually get it pops up on my phone and says, "Hey, live on YouTube."
Okay, you're a subscriber and you're on the notify. You hit the bell on the YouTube website, didn't you?
Yeah, and that's how I was able. When I was in Houston, I was able to check in via the YouTube.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's a good way to do it. I wish everybody, not everybody, but it'd be nice if everybody did that. It's a nice way to reminder. If you go to that, to my YouTube channel, if you hit the, what do you call it, subscribe, which is one button, and then the other one right next to it is that bell. And if you hit that, it automatically sends you a notification when this goes on the air. And I normally go on the air about 4 minutes or so before the net. So it gives you a reminder just a few minutes before anyway. But I do try to send out reminders, and yeah, reminders are good.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I got one. I was dealing with an Amazon problem, so I was like, "Oh, I got to get off the phone so I can get on the net." And then I'm like, "Oh God, he went to North first." But I got done.
Well, that's you think you got an Amazon problem. New York City had an Amazon problem.
Yeah, I think they lost that deal, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, too bad for them. Maybe they'll move to Nashville.
I know they are coming here, but they said they weren't going to change any plans for what they're doing here, but who knows?
Yeah, it'd be kind of fun to watch Nashville going to contortions trying to accommodate 25,000 new people.
We already have too many.
Yeah, they'd have to double all of the interstates in the area, I think. All right, very good, Frank. I can't imagine how many people. It brings in 25,000, but it means probably 50 or 75,000 jobs total with all the support services and trucking and trains and airplanes and buses and taxis and policemen and you name it. It'd be a big thing.
Oh, yeah, definitely. All right, back over to net control, KB9RKK.
Yeah, very good, Frank. Frank's another one up in Northwest Wilson. That's Kilo Bravo 9, Romeo Kilo Kilo. Anybody else north of Mount Juliet? KE4XQ. That's KU4XQ. I keep on saying K. It is KU, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
How are you tonight?
Just wonderful, man. Beautiful day. Shame I had to spend inside putting a hybrid battery in. I'd much rather be outside, but I'm not complaining. We had the doors open. It was nice out. I got to come home and walk the dog, and yeah, I'm happy for any weather that's like this, you know.
Oh, I agree. Okay, what's a hybrid battery? I'm a little confused about that.
The high voltage batteries in hybrid cars.
Oh, you got a hybrid vehicle, eh?
Yeah, that's my specialty. I'm not happy about it, but that's what I do.
Well, somebody's got to be the guinea pig.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, like that. Well, let the fat guy do it, so if he explodes, it won't be as bad.
I don't know, man. I don't know that it's an explosion issue. I just haven't figured out why I'd want one of those things. Pretty pricey for what you get.
Yeah, when they first came out, we were giving them away. We were selling them cheaper than we could make them, and then they got, I guess, trendy or something. Actually, the technology and the things is, I love them. I think I wouldn't own one because I can't afford a battery that went out, but the technology is incredible. But that's for now. There's supposedly Toyota's pushing the hydrogen thing real heavy for my people that work in the from the district are telling me. So we'll see what happens in the future. But for now, I'll make some money putting batteries in.
Yeah, I got you. Just that I don't know. Well, I'm gonna real quick because I don't want to waste time on not waste, take time on the net, but um, internal combustion engines are about the same efficiency as the utility plants that make electricity. And the cars that run on batteries, while there is some supplemental, making electricity to charge the batteries when you're running, but they plug them in at night and charge them into a plant that's less efficient than an internal combustion engine.
Yeah, but you can't tell them that. They won't sell cars. 73's, man. Everybody on the net. Have a good evening, man. We'll talk to you later. Okay, you for you.
Yeah, very good, Tim. That's Tim, and he's up in Hendersonville. That's Kilo Uniform 4 X-Ray Quebec. I got a real scribble going on here. Yeah, well, again, that's part of the story, though, Tim. And the other part is it does take all that pollution away from the vehicles and puts it over in the plants where it's always been.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's and the bad thing. Well, we'll talk about later. But the hydrogen cars in California are been bulletproof for the last 3-4 years. So people are scared of them. But people were scared of gasoline cars when they came out too.
Yeah, you mean hydrogen powered cars?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. I just want to be clear about that. Well, the only difficulty is the hydrogen tanks that they have to put in vehicles have to withstand, like, I forget, 4,000 psi or some ridiculous pressure rating.
Oh yeah, it's crazy, but so do airbags.
Yeah, well, I like to be frightened by airbags ready to go off at no moment's notice.
Absolutely. Oh man, that's a whole other story on itself. The airbag recalls. So we'll get into that later.
And all right, very good. Tim in Hendersonville, Kilo Uniform 4, X-Ray Quebec, great signal out of Hendersonville. Who else north? Nobody else north. All right, nobody else north. Over to the west. We'll come back on late check-ins. West of Mount Julia, please come in.
AM4YRL.
Hey, Michael, you doing okay? That's right, you work today. You work inside, I bet.
Yes, but we actually had the dock doors open. It was a really, really nice day.
That's kind of like the inmates at the Tennessee Correctional Center. Hey, we got to stand out in the yard today.
Well, that's a pretty good analogy.
Hey, yeah, we got yard time. It was awesome. We were picking up trash. All right, very good. You sound great. Now we'll have to talk later. I wanted to ask you about somebody else's antenna that you were familiar with. All right, that was Michael, Kilo Mike 4 Yankee Romeo Foxtrot, and he's in Belshire. Who else we got north or west? Excuse me, west of Mount Juliet.
84 this is Mary. I'm Paul and the gang. Hope everyone's doing well. Haven't mentioned basketball lately. We lost the last two, but we just now won a game by 2 points in 1.1 seconds.
Well, they're probably still hanging in there at number 1, are they not, on the polls?
I think so. I'm not really sure. Marty's admin over here. I'm not sure.
Well, a lot of times a loss doesn't mean that they lose a number 1 spot. It's sometimes a loss. It's just a fluke. It doesn't mean that they're a poor team. It's just, these people know what they're kind of looking at.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And they had won 19 straight before they lost these two. So, yeah, they're still way up there. Good to hear all of you, as always. And we are currently in Belshire, along with Mike and Marty and Duchess over here. She's ready to go outside and take a break. So I hope all of you have a good evening, and we will catch you on the next net. KD4OEN, and over to Marty.
Very good. Hey, Marty.
KD4BQK.
Hey, how you doing, Marty? Okay?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. How are you?
I couldn't get much better. I'm just thrilled that we've had good weather, more or less. I say more or less. When it's above 40, I can go out on the bike. And as big a guy as I am, I need to be active, and that helps me stay healthy. So I'm thankful for good weather.
We enjoy the sunshine.
Yeah, it was kind of, you could actually, if you wanted to, you could stay out and sunbathe today. It was so nice and bright and not windy. I don't know if anybody wants to do that in 65-degree weather, but we used to do it where I grew up in the north. We thought 75 was hot.
We'll be keeping, joining the weather and good thing to do. It is a sunny day yesterday.
Oh, yeah, that's great. I love it. Well, very good, Marty. Good to hear you on the net. Good to have Mary there as well. That's Kilo Delta 4 Oscar Echo November and Kilo Delta 4 Bravo Quebec Kilo. They're also in Belshire, which is just a little bit north of Nashville. Good to have you both on the net. Who else we got west of Mount Juliet? Anybody else west? And over to the south of 40, please come on.
And one MB2.
Hey, Michael, are you out in your mobile today?
Actually, I'm on my satellite rig today. Been playing with satellites and just left it out. Thought I'd use it for this evening since it was already set up.
Yeah, very good. Sounds good.
It ought to be. I'm pointed directly at yours, and I haven't missed hearing anybody tonight pointing in their directions. Good day for that, and cutting grass too. Got, I guess, springtime's here. Cut my grass today.
You mean cutting onions?
Really?
Somebody else told me that a couple of years ago. Really, I don't cut the grass. I just cut onions.
It's that time, man. They were so tall, it looked like I've got rose in the garden planted.
Well, I'll tell you, I don't know if I told you guys that story. My mother was wanting to sit out in the yard. This is when the first winter, spring, she was here 2 years ago, and she says, "What are those little sprigs that are sticking up out there?" I said, "Those are wild onion plants." She goes, "Really? Are you kidding?" I said, "No, they're wild onions." So I went out and grabbed some because she was sitting either in the wheelchair or sitting in a yard chair. And I went out and grabbed a tuft of them and brought them back. Here you go, take a whiff. She smells them. She sticks a few in her mouth, starts chewing them. I go, "You do know the dogs take a leak in the yard, right?"
Yeah, that's a good one. I just wish I could figure out how to get rid of the darn thing.
I don't know if they have onion. I don't think they do. I don't think there's such a thing as something that kills those onions because they seem to thrive pretty well.
Yeah, where I've had my yard aerated, I've got rows of them because every plug got onions in them.
Wow. Yeah, does aeration do a good job for you?
Oh, yeah, you put down good seed.
Okay, you did it as a part of seeding. I see.
Yeah, I do that just about every year. Aeration lets the grass seed set up real well.
Yeah, I think it helps the grubs and the moles get air too.
Yeah, I'm going to be battling them things this year too. I'll get an early start.
Yeah, I am too. I got to get some grub control out there to keep the moles away. Well, very good, Michael. That's Michael, November 1, Mike Delta Juliet. He's over in west of Providence a ways, at south of 40. Good signal, Michael. Who else? And Michael also does a lot. If anybody has any questions about satellite work or that kind of stuff, he does a lot of that. So he's the go-to man here. Who else west of Mount Juliet? Or south of 40, excuse me.
K4 away, folks.
Hey, Donnie. Did your trees fall over? I hope not.
No, we didn't get any storm at all down here. So at least we're going to get a chance to get them down. Everything's going good. Nice day. Got to enjoy outside. Got to get a little work done in the yard. So that was very good for that. So good to hear about on the net. I'll let you get back. See who else we can get on there in a minute. Good to hear you. Turn it back over to you.
Yeah, very good, Donnie. I was just reading today, Mount Washington, which is in New Hampshire, set a new world record, a new record for February wind, 171 miles an hour.
I don't need that dog. I've got about reason I'm losing so many trees. I'm blessed with trees. I've got about probably 80 to 100 trees in my yard. So, and I've taken out a bunch, but I've got a bunch of them too because there's so many rock down here. They've got some loose ones. The roots are just not as deep as they need to be.
Yeah, trees are good though. A lot of people, I don't know, they get upset about trees just because they got dropping, leaves and not pine needles or pine cones. Or the trees are good. They're good for everything. Good for birds and it's they're good. All right, Don. It was Donnie, Kilo 4, Oscar, Foxtrot, Oscar, and he is about 6 miles south of me, just east of Mount Juliet Road. Anybody else south of 40?
KM4 DV4, November Yankee, Bill, Murfreesboro.
Hey, Bill, hold on one second. I had you kind of probably doubled, but I caught you both. But there's Dan was in there. Dan, how are you today? I haven't heard from you in a little bit.
Yeah, I've been under the weather a little, and nice sitting and just vegetating.
And got to keep active, though. You know that.
Yeah, I do, but when everything hurts, it's tough to be active.
Yeah, I know. It takes more than just a little bit to get moving when you got problems with, either joints or arthritis or whatever.
Yeah, I'm on the base today, and I'm picking up everybody as if they're sitting right next to me. It must be a great night.
Well, so far so good. You sound great, and I hear everybody real well tonight as well. So you're sounding good, Dan. That's Dan here. He's just south over by Providence, Kilo Mike 4, Victor Alpha, and I believe I heard Bill down in Murfreesboro.
Yeah, I'm here.
No, you sound good. How many people are you able to hear?
Only a couple of them tonight.
Only a couple. Well, maybe there'll be, if there's more south, you'll hear them. That's for sure. Okay. But I forget. I was right. I did the short version of your call. I know what's the second letter in your call? KB4? I forget.
Kilo Mike 4.
Yeah, you'd think I'd remember all of these, but not so much anymore anyway. But I get the calls a little confused sometimes, especially on the fly. But all right, I'm glad. Let me know. You're still working off what? The one in the attic, or is it J-pole outside?
I got a little J-pole outside. Going about 5 watts on it.
Well, that's 5 watts is good to me. Outside, you got a good signal.
I'm afraid to even look at it. Something going to happen to it.
Yeah, you don't need any high winds, is what you're saying?
Oh, it'd probably be reasonably safe, but they just keep building and building around here. I don't know what's going to happen one of these days. But I've been hearing people in Franklin lately pretty clear.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, this is a real dilemma that I did this. I'm sure you heard me say it before, but when I lived in Tampa, when I first moved there, I thought it was a relatively small city. And then after 37 years there, I left what seemed like a metropolis with too many cars, too many people, too much of everything.
They just keep growing and coming. I don't know what they're going to do with all these people. Septic, water, transportation, it's going to be a big, big problem in a couple more years.
Yeah, well, from what I've heard about Murfreesboro, it's already a problem, just like we're seeing similar problems here in Mount Juliet. It's just too much traffic at certain times of the day that it just looks like it's Grand Central Station.
Yeah, it's changed a lot in the 37 years I've been here.
Well, I think the worst part about growth, and it is to me the worst part about any growth, it tends to kill the character of the original city.
Oh, drastically. There used to be a lot of cotton fields. That here, they're not here now.
Yeah, I believe it. It was the same way when I moved to Tampa in 1973. There were still orange groves and cattle inside the city limits. It wasn't a little town. I'm guessing it had, it's probably the size of Murfreesboro, maybe a little bigger than that. But after a while, it just went crazy. And now you can't buy a house there for less than, I forget how much the cheapest house there. And even in a crappy neighborhood is a couple $100,000.
Yeah, Dad lived out in Lutz, and his yard was full of orange trees and grapefruit trees and that. And it has changed a lot over the years.
Do you remember where he lived in Lutz? Because I used to have a house on Lutz.
About a mile from the gardens there.
Okay, so they were north of Busch Gardens and Lutz. Yeah, okay, that's cool. Yeah, I lived near Busch Gardens at first, and then I moved farther north into Lutz, and kind of liked it up there. But even that got busy because everything was moving north.
I think it was Sinclair Street, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be wrong.
That sounds familiar. I haven't been there in a while, but yeah. Well, very good. I didn't know you had kin that used to live down there. That's great. Well, very good. Yeah, when I first moved there, I thought it was called Lutz, and I found out it was called Lutz. All right, that was Bill, and he's in Murfreesboro, Kilo Mike 4, November Yankee, and great signal on his 5 watts. Who else south of 40?
And
The first, Larry, hold on one second. Right before you was Kilo November 4. Who else was that?
And for Juliet.
Hey, that sounds like Joey.
That is right. It is me on the front porch with an HT again because I was doing homework.
Did you get that notice about somebody did have a rig, and I forget which one it was for sale, and I think it was a tube rig.
Yes, actually, he just sent me an email. I don't quite remember his name, but it was a Kenwood something or another that uses tubes. But yes, I did get the notice. Thank you.
Yeah, that was MJ, and he lives down near Watertown.
All right, I just got an email from him today. He said he'd send over all the details tomorrow, so I am getting excited.
Oh yeah, no, radio stuff is exciting from many aspects. So I'm sure that I can already see that you've already kind of got the bug for having fun anyway. Well, very good, Joey, and you're working good off that HT. In case anybody's wondering why they couldn't hear him, but his call is Kilo November 4 Papa Quebec X-ray in the south of about 6 miles southwest of Mount Juliet. Larry, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right, Paul. I didn't think you weren't going to get anybody from the south.
You know how you Southerners are. You can't stand Yankees like me.
Yeah, we're just hanging in. I'll let you get on with it. KU4SYV.
Yeah, I got you. Now, like I've said before, one of the biggest things I noticed when I moved down to the South, I stopped in Georgia to have lunch or something. And people were so friendly. I moved to Florida, they're friendly. And that's the one thing that's different about the South generally than it is in the North. They're just not as friendly. But anyway, good to have you in there, Larry. That's Larry in Rockvale, Kilo Echo 4, Sierra Yankee Victor. Who else south of 40?
KI4ND, and we just outraged.
I said most of the people in the South are friendly, David.
Yeah, I heard you. I listened closely. Yes, sir, Ray. But I tell you what, baby Bob, you all right. You're doing a good job.
Well, I after living in the South for way more than half my life. I forget how much that way more is. I have to do the math again. I don't feel like a Southerner, but I do feel as comfortable in the South. Some people would come to the South or the Deep South, and I don't know if Tennessee calls itself the Deep South, but you get into the Bible Belt, and some people feel uncomfortable here. I don't. I don't feel the least bit uncomfortable. I don't know. I guess just I like people, and hopefully people like what we do here. All right, David. Good. You got anything else going for you down there?
Oh, nothing. You just enjoying this weather that we have, and getting ready for the springtime work.
Well, I might want to mention you've got that Aries Simplex Net. That is on the 5th, is it not?
It will be the first year, and I haven't even looked that far ahead.
Yeah, it is the 5th, and I'll send out a reminder on that as well for the 5th of March for the Rutherford County Simplex Net. All right, very good. We'll catch you later, David. That was David, Kilo India 4 November, Delta November in where the heck is he? I'll think of it in a second. Reedyville, that's where you are. David in Reedyville. Who else we else south of 40? I waited long enough, didn't I, Scott? Yeah, that would be a problem. I don't have to do that, fortunately. So how you doing, Scott? Sound good?
Oh, yeah. Around here.
Yeah, your signal was a little low there. You're about an S6 or so, which is unusual for you.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm working off 3 elements, not very high up in the air, about 15 feet.
Oh, that would explain most of it, I think. Well, very good. Again, Scott, and he's in Laverne. That's Kilo 1 Sierra Papa Delta. And a 15 feet off the ground beam that's not doing real great at the moment because of the height. Who else south of 40? All right, we'll move around to the east end. Please come now. east of Mount Juliet. Is this on? K4PEW, east of Mount Juliet. Please come down. Hello, Earl. I ain't heard from you, I don't know, in a few days anyway.
Yeah, it's been a day or two. But I'm on my old, let me check my PL 259. Yeah, I'm on my Ringo Ranger today. It's the high end Nano. You got a pretty good, decent copy on me.
Well, you didn't even budge my meter. Didn't even rattle it, man. It just sat on the bottom laughing at you.
Okay, cool deal. At least I got a smiley emoji deal out there, I guess. But everything's copacetic over here. I'm just trying to get ready for the yard chores, get my tools squared away, and whatnot like that. I got a leak in my transaxle with my lawnmower, so I'm trying to see if there's replacement parts to do that with, or maybe I'll just get some hose it off and put some Permatex on it. You have any suggestions or ideas, or anyone else, or is that taking up too much net time?
No, I don't know a thing about that. I wouldn't know what to do with it. That Permatex is what, like an epoxy? Or is that just a gasket sealer?
Yeah, it's kind of like a gasket sealant, I think, or whatever. I don't know. Maybe I broke the housing when I hooked the chain up to it to pull it out of the drainage ditch out here one year. Cause anyway, I'll get a little JB well for that, I guess. At least I know how to check the oil and put more in it. Well, anyway, even to do that, it's recommended to take it off and drain what's in there around and replace the whole, all the oil. Well, I guess, I don't know, that's what's recommended anyway.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, see, your audio is coming over a little crackly, but it's a good, everything gets copied. It's just that your signal strength is well. If it did move, it was almost imperceptible. It might have vibrated a little bit. Almost no signal strength, but lots of audio.
Oh, okay. Well, at least I got audio. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, the way some people might not like the way I talk. But anyway, I'll let it go at that, Paul. Doing a fine job in 7-3 to everyone out there to hear my transmission, and we'll catch y'all next time when we can. Happy Big Eye in the Sky Day. 2 days in a row. Tomorrow's going to bring another day. Catch you later. KE4, DEZ, carry on.
Yeah, you got it backwards, man. I'm the one who talks funny. You're the one that talks normal. And as far as there was something else I was going to say. Oh yeah, I had some friends down. Well, no, 2 friends I had down in Florida. They told me that their Ringo Ranger was nothing but a dummy load, and I was like, I don't know. I never owned one, so how do I know? But anyway.
Check back with me about 5 or 10 minutes, and I'll switch over to the low to the ground dual band and see if there's any difference in my signal, if that's all right.
Yeah, go ahead, and we'll be going over to the continuing on the east, and then late check-ins, etc. So yeah, just make the switch and get back to me when I call for late check-ins later. Anyway, Earl over at east of Cedars of Lebanon Park. He's over in Noreen, and that's Kilo Echo 4 Delta Echo Zulu. Who else east of Mount Juliet?
KE4TWI.
Hello, Wes. Are you hearing people well tonight? How did you hear Earl just now?
I just got in here. Earl was an S3 to me. I forget what he used to do.
He's usually about an S3 or so to me, but something's messed up. He was on this Ringo Ranger, and you heard what I said about that.
Yeah. So if I'll stick around here in a minute, I'll see what he sounds like. All right, proceed. KE4TWI.
Yeah, very good. Of course, that's Wes in Watertown. It's Kilo Echo 4 Tango Whiskey India. Anybody else east of Mount Juliet?
WA4 is NHI.
Man, you're slow today.
No, I just got home.
Oh, you just caught it then. That's wonderful.
Just in time.
Well, we were still going to do late check-ins and a lollygagger routine.
I'm late on the first round.
Yeah, no, you're doing fine though. It's nice to not have. Nice not to have to rush.
Yeah, give everybody else a chance too.
Yeah, no, you're doing great. So you don't know who you heard so far, other than me and maybe Wes, huh?
That's right. Heard you both good.
Yeah, very good. I don't know if anybody's noticing on the webpage. I wanted to say this is a shirt. I think it's to say hello to Jewish people because it says Yo Semite for those looking. You know, Yo Semite. It's got a bear on it. I'm not sure why. But anyway, James, good to have you in there. Middle of Mount Juliet, James, Whiskey Alpha 4 Zulu Hotel India. Who else? East of Mount Juliet. Anybody else east of Mount Juliet? How about late check-ins? Any place, anywhere, north, south, east, west, northeast, southeast, southwest, northwest? Please come on.
T4 DEC recheck with my low to ground dual band antenna.
So you just jumped up to S from a S0 to a S4.
Well, that's odd. Because while I was switching, I heard Wes in there talking. I can't didn't hear your reply or what y'all were talking about because I was in the middle of hook and rehook, and then when I rehooked this dual band antenna, the only thing Wes was doing was breaking my squelch. Of course, there's a big terrain mountain a whole lot closer in my backyard to my antenna to get to Watertown, so that might have a significant terrain obstacle for my little 12-foot off the ground antenna to overcome.
Yeah, I got you, but you're doing good with this antenna. Wes, how are you copying Earl now? Yo, Wes. Wes dropped out now. See, you made Wes go away.
Comment.
Yeah, go ahead, Michael.
Earl went from 20 over S9 down to S7 when he changed antenna here in Belshire.
Isn't that funny how the terrain issues between between him and you and between him and me is he had S0 to me on the other antenna.
That's really funny.
Yeah, it's but again, there's some big obstructions between him and me, so I understand why. But to have that dramatic a difference to you is amazing too.
He must have a clear shot to me.
Oh, he does. But you say the first time you had him 20 over, and on the dual bander you had your what, S4? Did you say?
S7.
Yeah. Did you hear that, Earl?
Yeah. Where's Belshire at?
North, just north, a few miles north of Nashville.
Right, okay. So I was getting out bigger on the Ringo up there in that area. Well, I can hear you, Paul, a whole lot better on the old low to ground antenna than I can this dual bander. And well, it's a terrain thing and the height thing. But anyway, I appreciate the daggone so where I get up and sometimes I get down, I guess.
Yeah, it's interesting though the difference between those two antennas. You know, it really is that you had a good signal on both, but you were 0 on the other one, and then your S4 on this one, and they're essentially what's the difference in height on those two?
Let's see, my Ringo Ranger's probably let's see, I'm going to estimate probably 25 foot off the ground, and it's got a low dB. It might be 3 or something. It's not much of a gain on it, but this Ringo or the dual band Diamond X300 is what it is, I believe. It's about maybe 12 foot off the ground, and it's got probably twice as much dB as the Ringo Ranger does.
Yeah, it's interesting though that I get you better on the Diamond, and Belshire, Michael got you better on the other antenna. That's kind of a fascinating change that I'd get better and he'd be worse to you. You know, you'd be worse to him and better to me. It's just odd, you know. All right, very good. We got those mysteries we can't solve, Earl.
Well, if there ain't one, there's probably a list as long as we are tall to get to the moon on those mysteries.
Yeah, no, that's all right, though. That's what kind of makes it fun. Well, very good, Earl. Do we have any other late check-ins, any place, anywhere? Heard somebody breaking the squelch there momentarily. Oh, I did hear something. Hold on. Say that. Hold on. Try that one more time, please. Yeah, unless your call is, I couldn't copy. Is anybody copying that signal? Please give me a relay. Nobody copying that last signal? Oh, that's horrible. You have to email me. Nobody's copying you, and I can hear you though, so I'm not sure where you are. I wish I knew which direction. I'd go over to my beam and point in that direction. Nobody's really copying that signal? Who was that, Michael?
Yeah.
Oh, that's because, well, it's just because. I don't know why. I don't know why you can't hear Earl different, the same as I can. I mean, you do better than I do in some circumstances. It's funny. But no, that signal, I'm not sure who that was. He obviously can hear me. Please email me, Kilo for Papa Echo Whiskey at arrl.net. That'd be great. Or you can send a notice through that website, 146415.net at the bottom. I think it's at the bottom of the page on a message to the master of the website here. All right. Do we have any other late check-ins? How about lollygaggers, sandbaggers, lurkers, scanner listeners, and we'll throw in the SDR donglers and the anybody. I don't know what else is there. Oh yeah, the preppers and the end time survivalists. Got nothing. We had 18 check-ins. So good night. I don't have any more for the net unless somebody has any questions about those. Either the nets that are upcoming or the Hamfests that are upcoming, and we'll close the net if I don't have any questions. All right, we'll close out the net. Thanks for participating. I think we love it. I use the term the royal we, but I enjoy it, or I wouldn't have been doing it here for 400 something times over the last 4 years and whatever it is, 5 months, September, October, November, December, January, February. Yeah, it's 5 months, 4 years and 5 months minus the time I was in the hospital, which was only 3 weeks or so. So that's minus six months. All right, hey, everybody, have a great night. I shall remain here for a little while, and we'll talk to you guys later. K4P then.
K4PQS.
Hold on, Joy. Who's that station behind you there? KK4WU. How are you tonight? Okay, that was you on the handy tag. Okay, so you made number 19, and you fell into the end time survivalist category. All right, you're still breaking up. You must be moving too much or something. I do. What did you do to get better signal? All right, great. Yeah, I was going to say, please don't get up on the roof at night.
Negative.
Well, very good, Bill. I'm glad you're able to check in. We were just talking about earlier about the nets on Tuesday night, looking for more participation, and I'm going to be sending out email reminders about that on Tuesdays prior to the net. All right, very good, Bill. Glad to have you in there. You just made the cut here. All right, very good, Bill. We'll catch you later. K4P then. I'm saying good night. Good night. I'd say goodnight, Irene, but that's my mother-in-law's name, and she's not gone to bed yet. Anyway, nobody paid attention to my Jewish salutation, Yosemite. And I'm closing down